the Reclusive Alchemist, in the heart of the kingdom of Valmir, where cobbled streets wove between moss-covered cottages and the grand castle loomed above like a silent guardian, there lived a man whom the villagers spoke of in hushed, wary tones. He was known only as Aldous the Alchemist, a recluse who seldom emerged from his dusty, cluttered dwelling nestled within the outskirts of the village. When he did appear, it was only to purchase exotic herbs from the market or to sit alone in the corner of the tavern, sipping his ale in solitude. Aldous was an enigma to the people of Valmir. With his wild, unkempt hair, ink-stained fingers, and a coat that smelled faintly of burnt rosemary and strange concoctions, he was the subject of rumors and speculation. Some said he was a sorcerer dabbling in forbidden arts. Others claimed he had once turned lead to gold, but had lost the secret. A few even whispered that he was dangerous, but none truly understood him. None cared to. Then came the plague. It started as a fever, a subtle heat behind the eyes, a weakness in the limbs. Within days, it turned into a relentless, choking sickness, taking hold of young and old alike. The healers were helpless. No poultice, no elixir, no prayer to the gods could halt the creeping specter of death. The disease spread through breath and touch, through shared meals and whispered words. The village turned silent, save for the distant wails of the suffering and the solemn toll of the morning bell. And yet, Aldous remained untouched. His solitude, once a source of mockery, had become his shield. While the rest of the kingdom struggled to fight the unseen foe, he locked himself within his dimly lit sanctuary, poring over ancient tomes and stirring bubbling cauldrons. He dissected dried roots under candlelight, ground glowing minerals to dust, and burned exotic incense to study their fumes. Days turned to weeks, and still he toiled. The sickness did not relent, nor did he. The village grew more desperate, the streets emptier, the tavern quieter. Some believed the kingdom would fall, that nothing could halt the tide of death. But then, under the dim glow of his alchemical flames, Aldous found his answer, a blend of moonflower petals, ashwood resin, crushed emberleaf, and a single drop of his most guarded tincture, an ingredient known only to him. It was not a cure in the way healers might dream of, but it was enough to fight the sickness, enough to purge the rot from the lungs, to soothe the burning fevers, to chase away death's shadow. But how to administer it? The sick would not come to him, nor would they dare take a concoction from a man they barely trusted. The answer lay beneath the very streets of Valmir, in its water. For 2 nights, Aldous observed the village from the shadows, watching as the few who still had strength came to the grand stone well, drawing water for their families. If his elixir could reach the source, it would reach them all. And so, under the cloak of midnight, he made his move. With slow, careful steps, he crept through alleyways, past shuttered windows and sleeping stray dogs, until he stood before the well. The full moon hung above, casting a silver sheen upon the rippling surface. He took a deep breath, uncorked his flask, and poured. A faint shimmer spread across the water before vanishing beneath the surface. It was done. The following days brought whispers of a miracle. The fevers broke. The coughing ceased. The sick rose from their beds, their strength returning as if waking from a long, terrible dream. The plague had lost its grip, its hold on the kingdom shattered like brittle glass. And yet none knew why. The priests claimed the gods had answered their prayers. The healers believed the illness had simply run its course. Some called it fate, others luck. But no one thought of the strange man in the corner of the tavern, quietly nursing his drink, his gaze lost in the flickering light of the hearth. Aldous returned to his solitude, to his experiments, to his quiet, lonely life. He did not ask for thanks, nor would he have accepted it had it been given. For he had never sought recognition, only knowledge, only the pursuit of the unknown. In the weeks that followed, the world outside his workshop returned to its usual rhythms. The markets bustled. Once more, laughter echoed through the streets, and children ran where sorrow had once dwelled. And still, Aldous remained unchanged. He spent his nights bent over his vials, the scent of burning herbs thick in the air, his mind lost in the depths of his craft. Yet something had shifted, a change so small it might have gone unnoticed. On certain evenings when he entered the tavern, the bartender no longer avoided his gaze. The murmurs about him were softer, less filled with suspicion. And once, as he took his usual place in the corner, a young woman who had once been gravely ill-hesitated before offering him a nod of gratitude. Nothing spoken, nothing dramatic, but a silent recognition. Aldous merely inclined his head in return and sipped his ale, as if nothing had changed. And perhaps, for him, nothing had. For the alchemist of Valmir had never needed the world to see him as a hero. It was enough to know, in the quiet of his own heart, that he had saved it,